Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Heath L. Coming to you from the Griot's Corner film review. And we will be reviewing the Netflix documentary entitled Blood Brothers, the relationship between Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X. I wanted to begin by just first talking about the relationship, the impact that both of these men had upon me individually first, before moving into the documentary. It was 1974, I was 6 years old. ABC Wild World of Sports had chosen to show the recording of the fight between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman in Zaire, Africa, famously known as the Rumble in the Jungle. And the fight had already taken place, and ABC Wild World of Sports was airing it this particular Saturday. A young 6-year-old, I was not aware that Muhammad Ali had won the fight. I had heard about Muhammad Ali through the elder members of my family. And so it was exciting just to be able to watch him fight, really, for me, for the first time. Subsequently, after watching the fight, and of course, Ali did win by knockout, knocking George Foreman out in the 8th round, I began to learn and discover as I went through high school and my early college years of the political significant impact that Muhammad Ali had on the culture. And not just what he did in the ring. Of course, he was known as a brash, loud talking person, young man who was who bragged, who would predict his rounds of when he was going to knock an opponent out. But his refusal of draft induction into the Vietnam War, and how that polarized him because he had already developed a relationship with the Nation of Islam. Eventually, he developed a relationship with Malcolm X. Thus, their relationship is what spawned this documentary. Muhammad Ali, to me, is the greatest, not simply because of what he did in the ring, but he's the greatest because of what he did outside the ring. And I think that the impact that he made upon the culture of the world was significant for me. He gave me, as a young boy, a strong sense of self-awareness, self-respect, and willing to declare that I am who I am, despite what others may try to categorize or what labels they may try to put on me. And so that impact that Muhammad Ali made upon my life will last throughout the remainder of my life. And so he was very significant in my growth and development. And so was Malcolm X, who was few years older than Muhammad Ali, was already a national figure, national spokesman for the Nation of Islam before Muhammad Ali won his first heavyweight championship against Sonny Liston in 1964. In Miami, Florida. Malcolm X, of course, who met Muhammad Ali at one of the restaurants that the Nation of Islam frequented, or I think they owned. And but Malcolm X's influence upon Muhammad Ali was significant as well, because he helped nurture Muhammad Ali's early years into Islam, especially from the vantage point of the Nation of Islam. And again, a young student in college, when I began to discover who Malcolm X was and look at his story, when I discovered his life story and what he had come from, his father, Earl Little, really Reverend Earl Little, who was a Garveyite who followed the teachings of the late Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and how that impacted him, particularly after a white mob murdered his father, and how he went through, street life, drug dealer, drug abuser, got incarcerated and decided to live and not die, and had his life turned around and joined the Nation of Islam and rose up in the ranks, became as a son to the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and became a national spokesman for the Nation of Islam. And so the impact that he made, particularly in the late 80s, early 90s, when there was a resurgence of Black consciousness within the Black community. Spike Lee had done the movie Do the Right Thing. Subsequently, he did the movie Malcolm. And so I was introduced and was drawn to the determination that Malcolm X had and what he did not only for Black people, but what he was doing for the consciousness of the world, and what he was on the verge of doing before his cowardly assassination at the Audubon Hotel in 1965. He was going to bring the United States up on human rights violations. Well, this documentary addresses that. It addresses the FBI, or governmental engagement, in both of these men's lives, their relationship, not only with each other, but the relationship that both of these men had individually and collectively with the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so it showed the development of their relationship. There are testimonial accounts from persons who were in the Nation of Islam, the daughters of both Malcolm and Muhammad Ali, how they shared the impact that both of these men had on their lives, and subsequently the relationship that they developed with one another. They are as sisters because of the relationship that their fathers had with one another. And it just showed how the times and the strain of the times, because there was tremendous pressure on definitely a young Muhammad Ali, wasn't even 25 years old, was the heavyweight champion of the world, now had a heavy weight on his shoulders, was also looking to be connected with those aspects of the culture that was going to liberate Black people. In fact, Muhammad Ali had a close connection with Emmett Till in that they were both right around the same age. I think Emmett Till was born a year before Ali was. And so when Emmett Till was cowardly murdered as well, Muhammad Ali's connection to that and how he began to see that there was more to this whole world that he was living in than the segregationist Jim Crow. And so it talked about that a little bit. It talked about their bonding, how they bonded as men, and for the 3 years that they knew one another, what strengthened their connection, what subsequently severed their connection, what hindered the relationship that they had. And you have in the documentary video testimonials from both the late Muhammad Ali and the late Malcolm X, sharing certain aspects of what was taking place during that time. So it was a very strenuous time in American history. This is not just for Black people. This documentary is not just about Black people, because both of these men, the impact that they made impacted the consciousness of the American culture, both Black and white. And so I think it would be very, very prevalent, not prevalent is the word I'm looking for, but very instrumental and prevalent, if you will, for anyone to take a look at this documentary. And I would encourage, have open discussions, have discussions with persons that you have viewed the documentary with. I had discussions with my wife, who in fact reminded me of the documentary, and I went to go see it. And then we had our discussions about it. And so I don't want to give too much away about the ingredients of the documentary itself, but I just wanted to highlight that it is worth watching. I think you'll learn a lot. I think it is significant what both of these men gave to the consciousness of the culture. And I think that it would help to bridge, to help us in our relationships, because the things that failed both of them in their relationships with one another, we can learn from that, just that alone, not even including the political, the social commentary, and the significance that both of these men have had on American culture. So this is Brother Heath Ale. I want to thank you all for taking a time to view this, this film review. We will be reviewing more films at Griot's Corner. Thank you for watching. Peace, love, and blessings.